Says it is loading. And
I'll let you know when it's.
we should be good.
Yep, you're good.
It is loading. Thanks, Chris.
Ready?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Welcome to the May
Should be
18th
good.
Board of Education meeting.
It's loading. Thanks, Chris.
Ready?
Yeah, someone has their mic
Yeah,
open.
welcome
We're
to the
getting
May 18th
good.
And I think it's you.
Education meeting.
Loading.
I think
Thanks,
you're
Chris.
playing on the thing.
Yeah, someone has their mic
Yeah,
open.
welcome
We're
to the
getting
May 18th
good.
And I think it's you.
meeting.
Loading.
I think you're playing on the thing.
Yeah,
We are now in session. Will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. Thank you. Nick, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Brown,
Here.
Ms. Davis,
Here.
Mr. Frida,
Here.
Mr. Landers,
Here.
Mr. Zetz, Mr. Zetz, give me a thumbs up.
He's on mute.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to public participation. Tim, I'm told you have 2 forms that were submitted before 4 p.m. today.
Yeah. Yep. First one is from Aaron O'Driscoll. It says, hi, my name is Aaron O'Driscoll. I have 3 children in Boardman schools. I have 1 going into 9th grade and 2 to be in 12th grade. 2 of my children have IEPs. I need to say how utterly disappointed I am in the fact my children receive an email or a text for their assignments. I believe these children deserve at least a video lesson of their teachers explaining the work. If they aren't going to give full effort, then they shouldn't get full pay. Any old person can send out a lesson like they have been. My 8th grader is totally lost and now has to pick back up in the fall as a high schooler. I'm a paramedic that has worked during this whole thing, and if I did my job the way schools have, I would have been fired or people would die. Parents cannot help their children since you all seem to think Common Core is a great way to do math. It's stupid and most of our brains aren't wired to think that way. So my child is left to turn in work that's already wrong and she doesn't get. Something needs to change. There's no reason these kids can't go to school 5 days a week, not 2. If this virus is as bad as they said it was, it would have spread through healthcare workers like wildfire, and it did not. The elderly and immune compromised are hard hit, but the flu does the same thing. I could put my child in homeschool and get better. Thank you. I would say for this, I'll share this with the principals of those children. That's obviously not the experience we want anybody to have. So again, we will follow up on that and make sure that gets corrected. We don't want anyone to feel that they're not getting disconnected or not being attended to.
Thank you.
Second email is from Christy Straub. Christy writes, as a parent with 2 kids in the school system, one of which has AIDS, I'd like to know which are the plans for next year. How do you plan on teaching kids with special needs, kids in IEP, and also kids on 504 plans? I actually emailed Christy. I said, I know her children work with independent aides in the classroom, as she stated, but we talked to her. She wants to know about how the future is going to look, and we'd all like to know that answer. You know, I've had a lot of parents reach out to me asking, you know, what's going to happen in the fall. It's a great question. The information we've received from the states in draft form, they're starting to shape that. I'm confident about mid-June, late June, they'll give us guidelines, just like they did with the businesses and the gyms and the pools, to give us an idea how that will look, and then it'll be up to local decisions to implement the guidelines. If you follow what they've done, I could see them doing the same thing for schools. The only thing I would say is that's about at least 3 months away. 2 months ago, we just started online remote learning. So things can change fast. So, but we'll keep preparing, keep planning for the guidelines that the governor has given in draft and work forward. So,
All right, very good. Thank you. We are going to move on to item number 3, which is the approval of the consent agenda. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And I have a second.
Second.
Second, very good. Is there any changes? Mr.
no
Sachs?
changes.
No changes? Any discussion? Hearing none. Nick, go ahead and call the roll.
Mr. Frieda,
Aye.
Ms. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Zetz,
Aye.
Mr. Landers,
Aye.
passes 5-0.
Very good, thank you. Moving on to item number 4, which is unfinished business. I do not believe we have any, unless I stand corrected. No, okay. We will move on to boards members' business, if anybody has anything. No, I just have the one item. I know we've all been having some discussions regarding the refunding the student fees in a variety of levels. And at this time, I think we're at the point where we can ask our superintendent and our treasurer to start taking a deep dive into those figures. And if you guys are all acceptable, if they need to form some type of committee or task force to help them, we will allow them to go ahead and do that. And if you guys are all approved, then we will make a motion to move forward. Yes?
Is there a time frame, that we were hoping to hit for that?
Tim and Nick, are you okay with the report in the June board meeting?
Yeah.
Or is that too quick?
No, go ahead, Nick. You can speak
Nope.
more clearly on it. Yeah.
Is that okay?
That gives us 6 weeks.
Yeah.
be
Okay. Okay.
We'll have a recommendation for approval for the board meeting, exactly how that's going to be implemented, what that'll look like, so we can refund the fees, especially you're talking about the second semester fees, correct?
Yes. Yes. We've got, obviously band, orchestra, field trips. Yeah, we have multiple levels, obviously, but second semester, we definitely want to focus on.
We'll take a look at how to refund or credit. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Can I hear a motion?
So moved.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Is your second?
Second.
Thank you, John. Nick, go ahead. If there's no further discussion.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Ms. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Frieda,
Aye.
Mr. Landers,
Aye.
Mr. Zetz,
Aye.
passes 5-0.
Very good, thank you. We're going to move on to item number 6, was the consent agenda. Obviously, there's several items on there. Tim, if you want to highlight a few of those sections.
Yeah, more than happy to go
Thank you.
through it. Letter B, resignations, certificated staff. We have 2 employees resigning, 2 fantastic teachers. Sorry to see them go, but I believe one's moving out of the area. One's trying a different, going a different route with a different business venture. So very glad to have them as part of the Spartan family, as they always will be, but very glad to have their service. In letter E, we listed this as a transfer. Technically, it's not a transfer of buildings, it's a transfer of positions.
Tim,
As we restructure Glenwood, we're taking a look at how we can better use our personnel. And one of the areas that was identified throughout the year is we need more attention and towards gifted. We can put, like I said, we want to make sure that our gifted population is served correctly. So we are recommending Joyce Zitkovich to be the Glenwood Junior High School gifted coordinator. Non-renewals, those are that long list in letter F. There is all the subs that we've had in classified as we've done in the past. We non-renew them. Once you reach so many days of service, there could be an expectancy of continuing employment. Obviously, we'll want to have them back, and we'll relist them for next school year. Letter G, renewal of administrative supervisory contracts. Just one thing I want to point out there. There's 2 different chunks of dates. Some say August 1 through July 31. Some say July 1 through June 30th. The difference there, in case you're wondering, if you're a licensed administrator, then your contract is going to be the August 1 through July 31. And our supervisors, for example, like Natalie, those run through July 1 through June 30th. Moving on, you can see that we have continuing contracts for classified staff. Those are under the rules of a 1-year contract and then a 2-year contract. And then there's been some new rules, and that moves us into the appointments for letter E, the 2-year contracts. The new rules by the Ohio Revised Code is a 1-year contract, then a series of 3 2-year contracts. So that next list, in letter I, are the people moving through that series of 3 separate 2-year contracts. We'll also have continuing contracts for teachers. That'll be later in the session. We will do that under superintendent's business. Also, we have some stipends being paid out for our title coordinators. That comes from federal funds, our title funds. They do different specific jobs at the different buildings and helping coordinate title. And as you can see, Kristen Conroy out there, she does some different articles and some different newsletters as part of her title editor position for both the Title Times and the Prime Time. Mr. Cardillo, I don't know if you want to add anything, because that's more Title World's yours. Your call there.
No, that was a pretty good summary. We have about 35 title teachers in the district. So having somebody sort of be the rep in each building helps with communication, helps with consistency, helps with troubleshooting. So it's been very valuable for us. And as Tim stated, it's all paid out of federal funds. So it helps us do what we do, so to speak, and be flexible enough to meet the needs of our kids.
Very good, thank you. Okay, let me see where we at here. Okay, so I need a motion to approve the consent items as listed in the consent agenda.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Is there any other discussion? No. Jared and Cindy, the only question I have is with the gifted coordinator at Glenwood. Is she going to be able to work with the high school counselors and work with those students and get them on track with their families as far as the gifted program at the high school? Will there be that partnership between her and the high school counselors for scheduling and their next classes?
Yeah,
I'm sure. You want to go ahead, Cindy?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, our counselors spend a lot of time over at Glenwood as they're getting
Okay.
ready for that transitional period. So there would not be anything different about it. It would just be one more person to really be part of that important conversation.
Very good, thank you.
That's what I was going to say. She'll be part of that process. So that process will be even stronger.
Very good, thank you. Okay. Nick, go ahead and call the roll.
Mr. Landers,
Aye.
Mr. Zetz.
Aye.
Mr. Frida. Mr. Frida,
He's on mute.
Aye.
Ms. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
passes 5-0.
Very good. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 7, which is the bond refunding. I believe, Nick, this is yours?
Yep.
Okay.
This is a bond refunding for the phase 2 of the stadium project done by the Booster Group. This was refunded for a lower interest rate in December of 2018. The biggest reason for this refunding is to move the principal payment date from June until December. It just makes more sense with the boosters and the way they fundraise. And most of their proceeds come after the football season, and it just lines up better. And we thank Home Savings for being willing to work with us on that amortization schedule.
Very good. Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the bond refunding resolution?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Nick, go ahead and call the roll.
Mr. Frida,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Zetz,
Aye.
Mr. Landers,
Aye.
Ms. Davis,
Aye.
passes 5-0.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item number eight, which is COVID-19. Eight. And we have item number B, which is contracted employees. Is it Tim?
Do you want to talk about that, Tim?
You want to talk? Oh,
A and B?
Yeah.
A and B, yes.
Just supplemental contracts. This is just our recommendation. You know, coaches start the spring season way before the official beginning of the spring season. And they did online workouts, submitted workouts all the way up through until the season was canceled. So we are recommending, because of the amount of work they had done, for 100% of the spring sports supplementals, along with our co-curriculars. For example, you know, senior class advisors still active in different events. So we're recommending that those continue to be paid. Also, the contracted employees, again, this is just an official statement. Our teachers, they're working, our administrators are working, our contracted employees are working during this time, even though the school closure. We just asked for a board resolution to verify the payment of both the supplementals and the contracted. I don't know, Mr. Trenell, if you need to add anything, if I butchered that or not.
Nope, did a great job.
Very good.
Thanks.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve item A and item B?
So moved.
They're two different votes.
Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Okay, supplemental contract. It's recommended the board approve a resolution approving the payment of 100% of the spring sports and co-curricular supplemental contracts during the 2020 school year, given the amount of work completed prior to the cancellation of spring sports and the school year. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other discussion? Nope. Go ahead, Nick.
Mr. Landers,
Aye.
Mr. Frida,
Aye.
Mr. Zetz.
Aye.
Mr. Barone,
Aye.
Ms. Davis,
Aye.
passes 5-0.
Okay, we move on to item B. It is recommended that the board approve a resolution approving the payment of contracted employees during the time of school closures to students. The contracted employees were providing value to the school district during the time of school closure by performing work at the direction of the supervisor and for administration. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, John. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Frank. Nick, go ahead. Call the roll.
Ms. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Barone,
Aye.
Mr. Zetz,
Aye.
Mr. Landers,
Aye.
Mr. Frida,
Aye.
passes 5-0.
Thank you. We will move on to item number 9, which is treasurer's business.
All right. Letter A is the financial report. Given the 5-year forecast, which is letter B, a lot of this hinges on what the state does in the next 2 to 3 weeks in terms of fiscal year 21's budget. As you saw in fiscal year 20, we did suffer an $883,000 reduction in our state revenue. It's even more imperative than ever that our renewal levies pass and are successful. So we are being diligent and being proactive, and the proactive measures that we have done are showing at these trying times. So just want to say great job, everyone, for all your hard work. And it's been a difficult couple years, so we're not strangers to adversity like this, but we'll get through it. Donations, 3 different donations to the food service department, one from Dan and Tanya Gagliano, Rick and Julie Henneman, and one from Carol Paul. We have 3 different purchase or then and now purchase orders. One is for the center wheelchair lift. That's a timing issue by a couple of days. Same thing with the special education legal services. The last purchase order ran out. We had opened a new one to cover that amount. And lastly was the engineering fees for the West Boulevard parking lot project that you'll see later on in this agenda. Those are the items for your consent vote.
I have a motion to approve the consent items as listed in the treasurer's agenda for approval, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussions? Hearing none. Nick, go ahead and call the roll.
Mr. Frida,
Aye.
Ms. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Zetz,
Aye.
Mr. Landers,
Aye.
passes 5-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to superintendent's business, item number 10.
All right, the first item is, as I mentioned earlier, is the continuing contracts for our teaching staff. Under the new rules in the state of Ohio, it takes 7 years to achieve a continuing contract. It's a pretty big milestone in an educator's career. Nice to see the faces and see the families. So we're going to try this virtually, so please be patient. We have, I believe, about 13 people introduced. We're going to start with the high school. That's the largest group, and I'm going to try to bring people in one at a time as Mrs. Fernbeck, who's already with us, speaks about them. So I'm bringing in Marvin first here, and we'll see how this goes. And I'll try to move a little faster, but go ahead. Looks like he's on. You can go ahead. His sound's trying to connect, but I'd go ahead, Mrs. Fernbeck.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. Each year I have the pleasure of observing over 25 teachers, and the best part is really focusing in on those who are going for their continuing contract. And this year I have 6, and it was a very good experience this year spending time in the classroom with these teachers. So I'm going to start with Marvin Ash Bakker and give you a little bit of professional information about him first. He graduated from Columbiana High School in 2001. He attended Kent State University for his bachelor's, which was in technology education. After Kent State, he pursued his master's degree in environmental education at Slippery Rock University and finished up in 2019 with that education. He did his student teaching in woodworking at Beaver Local Middle School. When he was ready to be hired for his first official teaching job, he was hired at Austintown Fitch High School, where he taught woodworking and metalworking for 4 years. Luckily, we were able to lure Marvin away from Austintown to come to Boardman. And so he's been working in our woodworking classes at Boardman High School for the last 4 years. I'm sorry, excuse me, for the last 6 years. A little bit of personal information about Marvin. He has lived in Columbiana since 2009. He's married to his beautiful wife, Danielle, and they were married in 2014. They have 1 child, a beautiful little girl named May. And I heard Marvin today discussing how smart she was and how easy potty training was going for May. So she's as smart as her daddy. They have 2 dogs, and I had the pleasure of meeting one of them. Their dogs' names are Roxy and Gus, and they're both English Bulldog mixes. Marvin is an avid volunteer at the Beaver Creek Wildlife Education Center. And in his free time, Marvin enjoys hunting and the great outdoors, and Marvin loves to travel all over the world for his hunting. Marvin has a lot of things that he loves about being at Boardman, but what he loves the most is knowing that his class is the reason why some students come to school every single day. They get through the rest of their day because they know at some point they get to go to their woods class. He also loves seeing them gather up all of these lifelong skills that they can use as adults. And he takes real pride in seeing them accomplish something. When Marvin was hired at Boardman, our Woods program needed a little bit of beefing up, and he did the unheard of and unprecedented thing of recruiting very actively. You would see Marvin going into study halls, and he would make a presentation to the study hall students and say, why sit in study hall when you can come and have class with me in Woods? So he did a great job in building up the Woods program at Boardman High School. When I observe Marvin on a personal note, I always get teary-eyed in his class. And I don't mean that figuratively. I mean, literally, I have to wipe tears away, because when you look around his room and you see the kids all thoroughly engaged and using tools and saws and relatively dangerous things, and he's there like a father figure talking them through all the safety things, it is obvious to me that were it not for Marvin, And were it not for his class, so many of those kids would never, ever have that opportunity and that satisfaction that we all know you get when you build something with your own hands. So I am completely confident and totally proud to recommend Marvin Ash Bakker for his continuing contract at Boardman High School.
Good, thank you, Cindy.
Congratulations. Next up, go ahead. You can go right down your list there, Mrs. Fernback. We have Lisa in.
Hi, Lisa.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah, pop there.
A little bit of educational background about Lisa Ann Zavino. She graduated from Lakeview High School in Pennsylvania. She did her undergrad work at Grove City College, and she pursued her master's at the American College for Education. Prior to getting hired at Boardman High School, she worked for 4 years at Columbiana High School as a history teacher, but she also did some tutoring at Austintown Intermediate School, believe it or not, out of her area, perhaps, but in math. The classes that she has taught at Boardman High School since we have hired her are World History, which is a general course, World History Co-Teach, American Government General, and our AP American Government class as well. She has been very active in our speech and our debate club. She was an assistant director for quite a while, and she, for the last couple of years, has been the director of our speech and debate club. She also is the advisor for our social studies club. She's married to her beloved husband, John, and they have 4 children, all of whom are Spartans. Her youngest child is Lily, who is 13 and in 7th grade. Next comes Alex, who is 15 and a freshman at Boardman High School. Next is Teddy, who is 17 years old and a junior at Boardman High School. And finally, JP, who is 20, a new apartment renter, and a current student at Youngstown State University, where studying business and finance. They have another family member, kind of an adopted family member, Chase, who is JP's boyfriend, is considered part of their family. And Lisa says that she jokes that if things don't work out with JP and Chase, that the family might keep Chase instead of JP. Chase is a graduate of The Ohio State University, and he is pursuing his graduate degree from Pitt University. What Lisa says she loves most about Boardman High School is spending time with students. She loves spending time with her freshmen. She loves the newness of all the freshman classes, but she also has her heart in her AP classes. Being a Spartan for Lisa has been a dream come true. She says she's always amazed at how our community supports our schools and what a great working relationship we have with our community. The continuing contract for Lisa means that she can continue her career and she can continue doing what she loves in the school that she loves. And she said, and this is her quote, "I get to be a Spartan forever." What I love about Lisa the most on a personal note is how she goes above and beyond. Lisa really strives to bring the world, the big world, into the classroom. So she's brought courts into our building so that kids can sit and see how the court systems work. And most recently, I got to view a Zoom that Lisa did with Congressman Ryan, and her kids in AP government had an excellent opportunity to ask Congressman Ryan all kinds of questions. So everything you do to bring the bigger world into Boardman High School, Lisa, I'm very proud to recommend you for a continuing contract.
Thank you.
Oh, I have to unmute myself. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're gonna kick you out. So. Kendall's loaded.
Hi, Kendall. Kendall Daltorio is new to the high school, but not new to Boardman schools. She graduated high school in Michigan in 2003, and she went on to study health and PE at the University of Toledo. When she graduated from UT in 2008, she went on to pursue her master's degree from the American College of Education. And in 2016, she completed that with a degree in educational leadership. After graduating from college, she had a long-term sub position at Springfield Middle School in Springfield, Ohio, and she taught health education there. That summer, she applied to Stadium Drive, and she earned, she said was given, but she earned the position as a physical education teacher at Stadium Drive. And she started teaching for Boardman schools in 2010. Over the years, she's done a lot of coaching as well. So she's coached girls track and boys and girls cross country and even cheerleading. She's also been a very vital part of our summer school programming, helping us with phys ed many summers to make sure that we could get kids that credit that they needed in the summer. She has been married to her beloved husband, Patsy, for 8 years, and they have 3 children. Dante is 4, Lena is 3, and Eva is 1. She has a big family here in Youngstown that she says she was lucky to marry into. And her side of the family, they are Michigan people, and they spend time visiting her Michigan people at the family lake house every summer so that they can have a little bit of pure Michigan. Kendall says she loves the feeling she has when she's teaching. She has fun, and she wants the kids to have fun and learn how to apply all of the concepts that are part of the physical education and health curriculum into their regular lives. She is not only teaching her students important content about health, but she is also teaching them what she believes and what I believe are very relevant and valuable life skills, and that is her passion. She loves working with Boardman. She says Boardman is full of wonderful people and they're always proud of everybody's accomplishments. She said she had so many wonderful experiences at Stadium Drive and had so many supportive staff around her. But she says, and I'm so glad to hear this, that she was totally blown away by the staff at Boardman High School, how kind they are, how helpful they are, and how wonderful our kids are. As far as receiving a continuing contract, she says that it would provide her with security and enable her to devote so much more effort to growing as a professional educator. Kendall this year, on a personal note, attended all of our new teacher meetings, and she didn't need to attend those, but she did, and I appreciated her presence. At one meeting, she seemed kind of worn out and a little frazzled, and when it was her turn to play high point, low point, she said that it was so different being around teenagers than it was being around elementary school kids. She said that she wasn't totally prepared for the rawness of teenagers and for their struggles and their sometimes overwhelming needs. But Kendall is perfect for our kids. She's perfect for them because she's kind and she's soft-spoken and she genuinely loves the kids at Boardman High School. So for all of those reasons, I'm very proud to recommend her for a continuing contract.
Good, thank you.
Next up, we have Wendy Kennedy. I don't think Wendy could join us, but Mrs. Fernbeck said you want to say a few words about her.
Sure. Wendy is our speech and language pathologist. She's shared between a couple of different buildings. She got her Bachelor's of Science from YSU and her Master's at Kent State University in speech and language pathology. Prior to being a speech pathologist, she was a medical technologist in the blood bank for 18 years at St. Elizabeth Health Center. She did work also at the county as a speech language pathologist for 3 years. She's married to her beloved husband, Todd Kennedy, for 29 years. And she says, oh my, that's a scary thing when you say it out loud, that it's been 29 years. He is a Boardman firefighter and they have 3 sons, Daniel and Zach, who are both active duty U.S. Navy, and Patrick, who is attending Youngstown State University and is a member of the Air Force Reserve. He is currently completing his schooling in Texas. She loves working for the Boardman schools because she loves to work so closely with our students and our students' families. It is wonderful to see the improvements that our kids can make in speech and language and how that can impact all areas, not only of their academic life, but also of their social life as well. I can say from a personal standpoint that I see Wendy often in her office in one-on-ones with students, and I always observe her to be very engaged and very focused and very present with our kids. One day I stopped in to ask her some questions about how my grandson was doing, who also struggles with some speech issues. And when she talked about my grandson, her eyes lit up. And it was genuine and it was caring, and it really made me feel good just as a family member. And I know that all of that love I felt from her for my grandson is what she's giving to all of our kids all the time. So for all of those reasons, I'm honored to recommend Wendy Kennedy for a continuing contract tonight.
Very good, thank you.
Andrew King.
There he is.
Hi, Andrew.
How you guys doing?
Andrew King, here's a little bit of professional background on Andrew King. He graduated from high school from Poland Seminary High School in 2007. He got his bachelor's degree from Youngstown State University in 2013 and his master's degree from the American College of Education in 2019. As far as his professional work history goes, he says, I've only taught at Boardman. I was a Spartan right out of the gate. The classes that Andrew has taught at Boardman High School since being part of our team, he's taught geometry and algebra 2, integrated 2, integrated 3, and integrated 4. As far as supplemental positions, he was an assistant football coach and on our technology committee as well. A little bit of personal information about Andrew. He is married to his wife, Tiffany King, who is an LLI title worker at Stadium Drive. And congratulations, they have a baby boy due in August. Baby boy, it's going to be due in August, very exciting. His brother, Robert, is also a teacher and a coach in North Carolina. His sister, Lori, is a home nurse aide. And his mother, thank her for her service, is a St. Eve's nurse for 51 years.
Wow.
Okay.
When you ask Andrew what he loves about teaching, he says, I know this is going to sound cliche, but when I'm in my classroom and I'm teaching, I don't feel like it's a job and I don't feel like I'm working. He loves seeing students who traditionally don't like math learn to have fun with math, and by the end of the year be able to relate it to their real lives in a way because he has guided them in that direction. What he loves most about being a Spartan is the pride that teachers take every single day in giving students a great education. He loves the family feel that comes along with it. Between the rich history of Boardman and our community, he knows that he is honored to have a small part in that great big picture. A continuing contract for Andrew means a couple of things. He says it means stability and it means longevity. But the most important thing is it means responsibility. He knows that he has a responsibility to continue improving his skills as a teacher and as an educator, and not only to be the best that he can be, but also to help all the educators around him continue to strive to be the best that they can be. On a personal note, there have been a couple of times when I've been on the 3rd floor and I hear a guitar being played and songs being sung. And that's not a normal thing on the 3rd floor. And when I pop into Andrew's room, very often you will see him at the end of the period singing a song to his kids on the guitar. That kind of fun spirit is very infectious. And I think it makes him a wonderful teacher. And I'm honored to recommend you for a continuing contract.
Very good, thank you.
And your final one, Michael Popio.
Michael Popio is my hero because Michael Popio can make math very exciting. And as an English person, I always say that math is my foreign language, but when I'm in Popio's room, I almost think I can talk the talk with him. A bit of background information professionally about Michael Popio, I should say. Michael Popio is a Boardman High School, a proud Boardman High School alumni. He got his bachelor's in science in mechanical engineering from The Ohio State University and his master's in educational technology from the American College of Education. Boardman was Popio's first teaching job. He subbed in Boardman for a year before he was hired, and more on that in a minute. He's taught Algebra 1, Integrated 2, Geometry, Integrated 3. He's taught levels A, CP, G, and co-teach classes. He's pretty much taught everything you can teach in our math department. He is an assistant varsity football coach, an off-season weight room coordinator, the head JV baseball coach. He's married to his beautiful wife, Kelsey, and they reside in Boardman. Popio, more than anything else, loves our kids. You can tell when he talks to our kids, when he interacts with our kids, there's an authenticity and a true connection that he has with our kids. He says he's been a Spartan his whole life. He's grown up here, he's lived here, graduated from here, volunteered here, and worked in the community. The people here are what make being a Spartan worth everything. On a personal note, Michael Popio was my first experience interviewing and ultimately hiring a candidate who was pursuing their licensure through an alternative pathway. And I've told Michael this, I had a lot of hesitation about hiring somebody going through the alternative pathways. But Popio has made me a believer. What he has done in the classroom, what he does every single day is amazing. I mean, kids are out of their seats. They're running up to the board. There's excitement, there's energy, it's tangible, it's amazing. And we're lucky to have him on staff at Boardman High School. I am proud to recommend Michael Popio for a continuing contract.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Congratulations. All right, we're moving on now. We'll go to, thank you, Mrs. Fernback.
You're welcome.
We have Mr. Eby coming on board, and hopefully soon we have Marta. Here she comes. So,
There she is.
Mr. Eby, go ahead. Let me unmute you.
It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I'm muted. Can you hear me?
You're good
Yes.
now.
Okay, very
Yes.
good. Okay. It is my pleasure to present 4 outstanding teachers and wonderful people from BCIS this evening. The first one is going to be Marta Evans. Is Marta here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
Marta got her master's degree in special education from Youngstown State University. She's in her 17th year of teaching. She's been here for 2 years at Boardman Center. She has 4 wonderful children. I guess Marta is a special education teacher here for our 6th graders. She works in the inclusion setting, so she's going between teachers and the regular ed students as well as hers in both language arts and math. What stands out with Marta is the relationship and the rapport that she builds very quickly with her students. She's very kind, compassionate, empathetic. She's basically a mother away from home for her kids. And she works so well also with her different co-teachers. Like I said, she's working both and going into different classroom environments, not only with different students each period, but also with a couple teachers. And she has built a very strong rapport. It takes a lot to build that up over time. And she did that in a wonderful way very quickly. It's a very natural setting. Watching her work her magic, it's a true art form that she has developed. And it's a sincerity, it's a loyalty. The kids know that she actually truly cares. One great thing about Marta recently has been the way that she has put kids at ease through this whole transition. We didn't have a whole lot of time to get prepared for this pandemic and the online learning and teaching. And she really reached out to her kids and made them feel secure and comfortable through the whole process. This past year, Marta joined us at Camp Fitch for our outdoor education experience. And I think everybody on her team told her that you get to go up there, there's fires in the fireplace, because we go up the last week of February and it's always nice and we get this great weather. We got up there this year, it was about 10 degrees. I think we got about 6 inches of snow and 40-mile-an-hour winds. And Marta had the pleasure of working with Coach Ignazio in the outside team building experience. And she was a real trooper. She did a great job with that. Her whole team actually went up and chaperoned that trip. And again, it's just another way that she goes above and beyond to be there for her kids and to be very supportive. So it is an honor to present Marta Evans and recommend her for a continuing contract this evening. Marta Evans.
Thank you, Randy.
Thanks, Marta. Congratulations. Next up, we have Shannon Green. Shannon is
Shannon
on.
Green actually had 2 bachelor's degree. Her first one in political science from YSU, and then she went back to school and got her degree in education, and then eventually her master's degree from the American College of Education in 2019. She has 2 wonderful daughters that are proud graduates of Boardman High School. I got to meet Shannon along the way. She kind of worked her way through the district. She was first hired as an aide at Stadium Drive Elementary School. She then went on to be the attendance secretary at Glenwood, and then she was hired as a PE teacher at Market Street Elementary School. As we went through the change last year and moving the 4th grade over, we were lucky enough to get Shannon to come to Center, where she has been an integral part of our PE program. She's worked very well with Stacy Hunter and Tony Sluss in kind of recreating the whole PE program and curriculum here at Center. You walk by the gym and it's amazing. You got music playing, they're dancing, they're doing golf, they're doing bowling. The activities that she has brought and the way they have gelled has been a huge impact and a big change at Center. So we've been very lucky to have her here. Again, she is all about kids. She's all about building the program. And what was really nice through the whole process, because there were a lot of emotions going on a year ago with people moving and being shifted, she was always very positive and always wanted to do what was best for kids. She is always at all of our events. She's always there, willing to do whatever is necessary to help out. So it is an honor to present Shannon Green this evening for continuing contract.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Jen Cadillac.
All right, Jen Cadillac attended Wittenberg University and earned a bachelor's degree there. She went on for her master's at Kent State University. She has 4 children. She started her teaching career at Canfield Schools and then took time off to raise her kids. When we had an opening, I believe it was late in August when we had a last minute retirement, and we're looking for candidates. So I had called Don Robinson over at Robinwood, just asking if he had any good subs or anything that he had, teachers that have worked in his building that were available. And he recommended I talk with Jen Cadillac. And Jen came in and just blew me away in an interview. She is a very genuine, sincere, wonderful human being and very excited about teaching. Came out very quickly in the interview that she has a passion for education. She loves language arts. She loves reading. And you go through her classroom once she was in there and got settled. She has probably hundreds and hundreds of books. We might as well use her classroom as the school library here. And I have never seen any teacher develop a love for reading amongst their students like Jen does. She was just amazing. She works with Marta Evans in the co-teaching situation, and they have really made a very powerful educational team in her classroom due to their personalities just gelling. She is also a Camp Fitch counselor that went chaperone. Like I said, that was one of the whole teams that went, and she just does a great job of being there for kids in any way that she can to help them to grow and be successful. So she's incredibly dedicated, incredibly talented teacher, and I'm very pleased to recommend Jen Cadillac for continuing contract.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Next up, we have
The final one I have tonight is Mina Leonelli. Nina comes to us from that high school, that parochial high school that we don't mention in Boardman. We're lucky enough to get her hired. Initially, she started her teaching career in Boardman as a title teacher. Then she kind of made some rounds and was teaching in Youngstown City Schools for a while, then went to Canfield, and then we were able to hire her at Stadium Drive as a first grade teacher. She also taught second grade there and ultimately fourth grade. She has 2 wonderful daughters. I met Nina just over a year ago when I was making the rounds with the elementaries, because she was a fourth grade teacher at Stadium at the time. And what impressed me most during that time, again, a lot of emotions, a lot of anxieties, a lot of uncertainty. And what struck me was the very first meeting, she was very positive, willing to step up to the challenge. What was nice is Nina has been a great help for me learning the 4th grade curriculum. And there were procedures because we had 4 elementaries that were very different. She's been a big help as far as helping me to learn what they've done, and also been very open and a big support amongst the 4th grade teachers to build a 4th grade district model for education, especially with the math curriculum. What I've also noticed about Nina is in the months that she's been here, I've never seen Nina sit down. She's got so much energy, and you walk by her classroom down the hall and she is always up teaching from bell to bell from the minute she walks into the building until the buses are pulling out of the parking lot. She's an outstanding math teacher, a great person, and has really done a lot to help the culture and the transition this year, over this school year. So I'm very pleased to present Mina Leonelli for continuing contract.
Good. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you
very much. All right, next we're going to move to Glenwood and bring in Bart. First person Bart's going to talk about, we're waiting for his audio to connect here, Jill Bresnahan. Jill was not able to join us, but Bart's still going to say a few words about Jill. Still waiting here to his audio is still connecting. I think we're good. Let me make sure he's unmuted. And go ahead, Bart. It should be good.
Good evening, everyone. Can everybody hear me?
We're good.
Yes.
Well, I have the pleasure of introducing 3 teachers this evening, exceptional educators. The first one, unfortunately, couldn't be here tonight, but hopefully she's listening on. Some of her family members that will also be listening on is her husband, Patrick, her children, Kelsey, her son-in-law, Alex, her daughter, Jenna, and her son, Jack Bresnahan. Jill's an exceptional educator, but what she said she was most proud of is that all of her children, even her son-in-law, are all graduates of Boardman High School and proud to be graduates of Boardman High School. She's also very, very proud of her granddaughter, Charlotte, who was just born several weeks ago. So it's a very, very exciting time. Some educational history on Jill. She has 21 years of education, full teaching. She graduated from YSU in 1984 with a bachelor's degree in English and secondary comprehensive communication. She worked at Cardinal Local Schools in Geauga County from 1984 to 1992, teaching 7th and 8th graders reading in English. She was a stay-at-home mom then for 11 years, which was, I'm sure, amazing for her. She then got hired at Center Middle School in August of 2007 and has been with the Boardman Local Schools for 13 years. I asked them a passion statement for what they were passionate about in education. And she said when she first started out in education, she thought she was going to be teaching Shakespeare to juniors and seniors at the high school level. But her first job was in junior high. And after a few years, she put of the craziness of 7th and 8th graders, that she became accustomed to that and loved it. It's a new experience every day. And she said, watching the teenagers connect with a book and seeing that connection is priceless. She loves kids. I can say this about Jill. I've walked into her room numerous times where students are accidentally calling her mom because she makes that environment where kids love her, but she walks the walk as well. I've seen her over multiple years take kids under her wing that don't have anything. And she buys them shoes and clothes and takes them places. And there's been times where she has had children ask her if they would attend different community events with them as a parent. So that's the true testament of who Jill Bresnahan is. She's an amazing teacher, and I am absolutely honored to give her a continuing contract. Next up is Kristen Eby. Her family listening on tonight, hopefully, is Jared Eby. and her 3-year-old son, Carson, who gave me a run for my money in the hallway just a few weeks ago. I usually very good with little kids, but Carson wasn't having it that day. So her educational experience, she's been teaching for 7 years, all in the Boardman local schools. She's a graduate of Struthers High School. She graduated from Youngstown State University in the spring of 2013 with a bachelor's degree in middle school education for 4-9 subjects, math and science. She also had the ability to shadow me as she went through her administrative graduate classes, and she achieved her master's degree through Ashland University, which was quite an experience. We were trying to implement a peer mediation program, which was really good, and she really put a lot of effort into it throughout those trials. Her passion for education comes from building a bond of trust with her students, allowing the students know that she's making decisions for them in the best interest of them. She is passionate in her classroom when she teaches math. She does several activities after school or before school with our students. And over the last several years has had multiple students qualify for state and teams qualify for state in these activities. A lot of passion there for math, but a lot of passion there for kids, and make sure that she makes those bonds and makes those connections with kids so they feel safe and comfortable in her classroom. I'm also honored to recommend Kristen Eby for her continuing contract. Congratulations, Kristen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And the last teacher tonight is Cassie Pantelis. Cassie are you on, Cass?
She's on.
She's there.
All right. Cassie is probably, some of her family members that are listening in are Carol, her mom, David, her dad, and her sister, Nicole. Cassie also has 7 years in education. However, Cassie started out 2 years in the Warren City schools. And then she was 5 years with Boardman local schools. Brief history of her educational career. She graduated from Niles McKinley High School in 2008. She was a graduate of Youngstown State University in 2013 with a bachelor's degree in education, specializing in math and science. She also graduated with her master's degree in 2017 in curriculum and instruction. When asking her passion statement, she talked about her students in her classroom and how passionate she is about them and her content area. She loves to inspire students and motivate them to find new directions and to find that, quote, light bulb moment. When that light bulb moment goes off, she says that's the most exciting time in the classroom. I can say that there's probably not a classroom that is more organized in Mahoning County, or maybe even Ohio, or maybe than Cassie Pantelis' classroom. When you go in there, it's amazing because it is so organized that it almost seems like she doesn't even have to teach because the kids know exactly what to do. They walk in, they have everything going on, they sit down, they get everything themselves. It's just, it operates like a well-oiled machine. You know, Cassie, although is very organized in her classroom, she has a passion for growing the kids emotionally and intellectually as well, and is a lifelong learner. I can say that Cassie has helped tremendously as we have tried to bridge the gap between kids coming from 6th grade to 7th grade, because that's always a transition that parents are kind of leery about and they don't know the expectation. She has written letters for our math department. She has helped with tracking data to make sure that we're appropriately placing kids and that the parents are fully aware of what the expectations are when they come into 7th grade. Congratulations, Cassie. I am honored to recommend you for a continuing contract.
Very good. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Thank you,
you.
Mr. Back, and thank you, Mr. Eby. I'm going to move some people into the waiting room at this time so we have some more screen space. for the sharing of the documents. So give me a second here. And let me get us back onto our agenda. All right. Okay, so those 13 employees are being recommended for a continuing contract. Moving forward, letter B, Boardman High School diplomas. That is our list of seniors that are currently on track for graduation. Fingers crossed, prayers sent out. So we have 320 on track to graduate here on June 7th. Letter C, Department of Health Authority Resolution. This has to do with educational programming with the County Department of Health. Katie, if might want to give just a few words on the importance of this resolution. Unmute her.
Sure. So this just is a resolution that would allow us to start slowly bringing some of our students with disabilities back into the buildings for either testing for their triennial evaluation team reports, or for some very small groups of students who require some extended school year services. So in order to do that, we have to have guidance, and we have to have that okayed by the local and state health departments. And this is just a resolution allowing us to reach out to them to get that approval.
Thank you. Next is 2 board policies. I'm asking for what we call an emergency adoption. I mean, I'm asking to waive the first reading. These documents, we just mentioned those 320 graduates. There have been updated graduation requirements, and we want to make sure we match the most recent legislation changes on the pathways, both those at risk and the regular graduation requirements. Just one other special note is these 2 policies are what we call Neola policies. We are transitioning to Neola. We expect to be full go Neola. So any policies we adopt from here on out will be the Neola brand type policies. And letter E, capital improvement. I know back when we talked about some different ideas about cost savings, one of the things we got to be careful with is we want to make sure that we don't want to eliminate any possible or potential projects that especially have to focus on student safety. And I know there's been a strong concern at West Boulevard. It's a very small lot. There's a lot of parent cars, and there's a lot of buses, and there's only one way in and one way out. And West Boulevard isn't the busiest street in Boardman, but it still has its traffic. So it's been a concern, and we did have this money set aside. It has been allocated. We think this is important. There's a good chance that more parents may be driving their children to school next year. Depends, we'll see. But we want everyone to be safe. And so this project allows us to expand some access off a side road and some additional faculty parking, better manage and keep the kids in a safer environment at West Boulevard. We feel this is needed. It needs to be done. And those items are up for recommendation for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the consent items as listed in the superintendent's agenda for approval?
So moved.
Luke, can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Tim or Nick, for the West Boulevard project, just in terms of partnering with the township and making sure we follow the process, we're all set in that regard and feel comfortable with the timeline proposed.
Yes, absolutely. That's actually why it's on now.
Okay.
We don't want to wait any longer. We put that on June. We may not have it done in August. We put it on now. We can move forward, accept the bid, and we can get this done over the summer and be ready for that August opening day.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Nick, go ahead and call the roll.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Freda,
Aye.
Mr. Zetz.
Aye.
Mr. Landers,
Aye.
Ms. Davis,
Aye.
passes 5-0.
Thank you. Tim, we'll move on to item number 11, informational items.
Yes, we have 2 teachers returning from first and second year parental leave of absence. That's just informational items that we placed into the 8th grade positions as noted. Calendar of events, obviously, we usually have a pretty robust calendar of events. The two I just want to bring to everyone's attention is the two that we've talked about before, but May 26th is the Senior Honors Assembly. That will be broadcast at 6:30 p.m. on the same channel everyone's watching right now. Talking to Mrs. Fernback before this meeting, they're already involved in over 2 hours of taping for that. That is a long assembly. You know, if we do it in person in the gymnasium, it's a good 2.5 hours. But just giving people a heads up, it will be a long assembly, but we're going to take the time to dedicate to our seniors of 2020 and their outstanding achievements. So it'll be worth every minute of that broadcast. And obviously June 7th, we talked about those 320 graduates. On June 7th, we'll be having our in-person in the stadium commencement. We will start with a broadcast at noon of the traditional welcome by the principal and superintendent and the speeches by our class president and student council presidents. That broadcast will last probably about 20-25 minutes. And then at 1 o'clock, we will begin the in-person diploma presentations on the football field in Spartan Stadium. And that'll be done in 4 shifts to spread out the graduates. So like the Senior Honors Assembly, it may take a while to do it, but once again, it'll be worth every minute. That's it for informational items.
Very good, thank you. We'll move on to item number 12. Mr. Brown, do you have a legislative report for us?
I do. I went digging a little bit today.
Okay.
We're all aware of the state spending cuts of $775 million on the remaining 2 months and how it affected Boardman schools, about 883. But I picked up the phone and I called Will Schwartz today, who's the deputy director. And I said, big picture, what's going on with these stimulus packages that the federal government's messing around with? And he was very excited to share some facts with me that I'll share with you, but I'll be brief.
Okay.
About 11 years ago, Congress passed the Recovery Act, and right after the Great Recession. So that was a $1 trillion bill, and of the $1 trillion, they dedicated $100 billion to education. So keep that in mind: $1 trillion, $100 billion. The CARES Act that they just passed was $2 trillion, and of that $2 trillion, they only set aside $30 billion for education, of which 13 of the 30 went to K through 12. A little tricky. Of that, Ohio got $489 million, which was the 7th largest of any state in the country. So right now we know where we are. The Democrat-controlled House, U.S. House, has passed a $3 trillion stimulus package they call HEROES, the HEROES Act. And the Republican-controlled Senate basically said, we're not going to go that deep. We're not going to support that the way it stands. So there certainly is the potential for some help down the road as it affects Boardman schools. From where we sit, any help would be welcome help, of course. But it seems like the focus wasn't where it needed to be during the CARES Act on education, at least as you compared it to the Recovery Act after the Great Recession. So they're aware of it. The smart people and the lobbyist type people that are on top of this are working it for us. So that really is my report today.
Okay. Very good. Thanks, Jeff. President's comments, I'll be brief. Obviously, congratulations to our 13 teachers. We appreciate the principals taking the time to recommend them to us. Hopefully, we'll get them back in a real meeting and we can congratulate them officially. Just a thank you for anyone that participated in the Right to Read video. That was a little weird this year. Hopefully, our kids got something out of it. And lastly, obviously, we want to encourage our families to complete the online education survey. We can get some good data points and we can look at what we're going to do in the fall. We would appreciate that. So other than that, that's all I have. If anybody has anything else for good of the order. Hearing nothing, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Nick, go ahead and call the roll.
Ms. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Frida? Mr. Frida? Thumbs up?
Aye.
Mr. Landers?
Aye.
Mr. Zetz?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned at 7:40.
Thank you.
Great job,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody.
Being patient for our viewers, being patient as we brought people in virtually, worked well.
Mhm. That did work out.
Great job, Tim.
Hey, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night.
All right.